happening, Captain? It's Jordan Bliss, and I'm back with some more gainers for you guys today. Okay, so I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately, and I've been seeing these Storytime videos, and I was like, you know, Storytimes are super cool, and I think I could like do a Storytime, no big deal, like interesting stuff happens to me too. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, like it's Black History Month, and Black History Month a couple years ago is when some of the most interesting events of my entire life happened. I was going to a performing arts school at the time, and I remember like going to sign up for the school or whatever and thinking like, it's a performing arts school, everyone's gonna be super like accepting of each other and everything like that. And one of the things I actually liked about the school is that when I went to the orientation and like the kids were on campus walking around, I saw that there was like a lot of Black kids, and I thought that was super cool because like I've never been to like a school with like a lot of Black people. It's usually just like a couple others. So I was like excited for that. But when I tell y'all, it turned out to be one of the most racist schools I've ever been to. I'm just so happy I'm out of there, but I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm going to tell you guys about Black History Month at my racist school. So let's get right into this video. Like, I've been to schools before where I thought there was like racism, but when I got here, it was like the fact that it was so blatant. Like, they did not try to disguise it at all whatsoever. At least at my other schools, it was like more undercover racism. But when I tell you, people were just throwing around the N-word at this school, like just anywhere. And it would always be some white kid, and whenever anybody would try to confront them about it, it was always, oh, somebody said I had the N-word pass. If anybody knows what the N-word pass is or like can explain the N-word pass to me in a way that doesn't sound stupid, please comment down below. Guarantee you can't, but if you want to try, comment down below. It's not a thing, y'all. It's not a thing. Stop trying to make it a thing. There's no N-word pass. It's just called, I don't know, disrespectful, really.
That shit is so disrespectful.
Yeah, so people were like throwing around the N-word.
So disrespectful.
And the fact that some of the Black kids at the school would encourage this definitely didn't help, because, you know, of course there was the Black kids that were like, you shouldn't be saying that, but then there was also this group of Black kids that would be like,
yeah, you have the N-word pass, like, go ahead, say it, buddy.
Like, so that wasn't helpful at all. They were just encouraging racism against themselves. It was very weird, very, very odd. And yeah, I don't know why anybody thought it was cute or funny to do this, but that was the first sign of racism at that school. Everyone just flinging around the N-word, you know, grab a pass, say what you want to say. Yeah, I did not like that at all. Okay, so during this time, I used to switch up my hairstyles a lot. I still switch up my hairstyles a lot. I like doing it. I think it's fun. You know, I like to try new things. That's what my whole YouTube channel is about. This particular day, I had been up until like 2 in the morning. I was up for like 8 hours getting my hair done. And so I go to school like feeling myself or whatever. Like, I hop out the car with my little backpack and everything, walking to class, la la la. And this, mind you, she's Black. Campus aide stops me to turn over and ask me, do you like having all that hair on your head? So I didn't say much. I was trying to figure out why she would ask me that, or what gave her the urge to ask me that. Like, after I just sat up all night getting my hair done, you
come insult me about if I like having all that hair on my head.
Like, what did she think I was gonna say? No, I despise it. I really wish I would stop getting my hair done. Like,
no, I'm feeling myself, girl. What are you talking about? Do I like having all that hair on my head?
So that kind of bothered me, and I was kind of just like, yeah. Like, with like this weird face, like, yeah, I didn't know what to say. Okay, so a couple days later, I'm going to this circus arts class. I had gotten thrown into the class or whatever, but I turned out to actually kind of like it. There was this like tool called like the rollabola, but you basically stood on it and you like rolled side to side and tried to balance on it. So I was chilling on the rollabola during circus arts class, but we were all learning it at the same time. So there was also this group of white boys that were learning it. I'm gonna call the leader of this group Brad. So Brad and his friend group were always super obnoxious, super loud, super annoying. I've never like spoken to them before at this time. But I was on the rollabola and Brad is standing behind me and then he whispers the N-word, waiting for his turn. So I'm just like thinking like, am I tripping? Am I not? No, I wasn't tripping, y'all. He said it and he didn't say like the slang word either. He full on just said it like racism type, like, y'all know what I'm talking about. A couple weeks passed and this is when Black History Month actually rolled around. It was like February 1st, Black History Month, all that, like everyone was all excited. Okay, so I was in math class and there was this kid, I cannot remember his name for the life of me. That shows you how irrelevant this kid was to me. He was new to the class, he had been there for like a week, never spoken to the kid, don't know him. So David got a random urge to turn to everybody in the class and start telling them,
Rosa Parks did nothing for black people. Hey, Rosa Parks did nothing for black people. Hey, you over there, you sitting there minding your business. Rosa Parks did nothing for black people. Hey, did you know Rosa Parks did nothing for black people?
It was super weird. Again, I didn't talk to him. I didn't talk to anybody at this time really other than like my close friends. I was very quiet at this time. I was kind of just doing my math work. And we were in the middle of a lecture as he's doing this. So the teacher is writing on the board, not even listening. And he sees I'm ignoring him and decides to turn to me and go,
Hey, Rosa Parks did nothing for black people.
I was like, where did you get that information? Like, that's not true. And then he's like, she didn't do anything for black people. And I was like, yes, she did. And he goes, oh, no, she didn't. Okay, tell me what she did then. And I was like, I'm in the middle of math class. Google it if you want to know. So he pretends to type something on his little Chromebook. And he's like, see, nothing came up. She didn't do anything. It was just Martin Luther King and everybody. And so I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what he looked up this day, because if you look up what Rosa Parks did for black people, it says Rosa Parks helped initiate the civil rights movement in the United States when she refused to give up her seat to a white man on a Montgomery, Alabama bus in 1955. Her actions inspired the leaders of the local black community to organize the Montgomery bus boycott, which lasted for more than a year. I'll insert insert the article here. Would have been very easy for him to find. Rosa Parks did do a lot for black people. She is the reason that black people aren't segregated on buses today. And I even told him that. I was like, when you go on a bus today, do you see all the black people sitting at the back? And then he said no. I was like, okay, then what are you talking about? She did nothing for black people. So somewhere during this conversation, I guess I was getting like heated, like really, really heated. And I guess I got loud because the whole classroom got quiet. And then I just heard this person in the background like,
oh, she snapped.
and I think the reason that they said this was because like I was super quiet at that time. Nobody had really heard me talk. And then here I am going in on this kid about Rosa Parks. I really didn't like that. Like, what did he have against Rosa Parks? What was his problem with Rosa Parks? Why is he talking about stuff that he has no idea about? Like, it just made me so mad. So now everyone wants to know what's going on. So everyone's like, Jordan, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? And so I'm like filling people in on what's going on. The teacher ended up like getting involved, asking what's going on, like what's happening. And this girl, Nikki, who was also new to the school at the time, came over to me and was like, what did he say? And I told her everything, and she ended up getting really mad too. Nikki was very like Black Lives Matter, like, and she was black obviously, but Yeah, she was the wrong one to have in that class. Like, her and me at the same time, bad combination to say some ignorant stuff. Like, it just wasn't gonna slide. Okay, so Nikki started getting all hype, led to this other girl in the class, Ebony, getting all hype. This other guy was getting super hype about it too. And we were all just trying to educate this kid on why Rosa Parks did something for black people. This isn't even what led to the big thing. What led to the big thing was what he said after we were trying to explain to him what Rosa Parks did for black people, which was,
This is not even your guys' experience.
to 4 black kids.
This is not even your guys' experience. You guys aren't slaves. That's what he told us. You guys aren't slaves. That was only back in the day with the slaves and stuff. You guys don't have to deal with that. It's not your experience.
Why is this something that people love to say? They love to act like oppression doesn't exist today. They love to act like systemic racism is no longer existent because it's not back in the day and we're not segregated. Like, that's not the case. There's still racism. Believe it or not, there is still racism, and whether you like it or not, it's the hard truth, hard pill to swallow, but it's still here, it's real, it's alive. There's racism. And to tell 4 black kids that we don't have to experience oppression is pretty weird. I just don't know why he said that. It was all downhill from there, y'all. Okay, so now everyone is yelling and screaming at each other. The whole classroom was like an entire madhouse. He like walked over behind the teacher. I think he got scared. I don't really know. I'm walking toward him because I'm talking to you and you're behind the teacher, and like the teacher was just trying to calm everyone down. She's like blocking me. I don't know if she thought I was gonna hit him or what she thought was gonna happen. This other white girl in the class started crying because she was scared. I'm not really sure what she thought we were gonna do to her. She didn't do anything. Then there was a couple other white kids that were like on our side. Everyone was in different huddles, like saying their views on it. Then I got like really mad at one point. I remember going out into the hallway with Ebony and we were just talking about it. We were super mad. And then the teacher, another teacher, came out of her classroom and told us that we needed to go back to class because we were being very disruptive. Me and Ebony returned to class. The original girl that hopped in, Nikki, she stayed there. The other one was like super Black Lives Matter. She was about to educate them, period. Everything was still going on when we got back. But then the bell rung and we had to go to lunch. And my poor teacher, man, she was like trying to handle everybody, but she said that there was counseling on the 3rd floor if anybody needed to talk to anybody. The other kid, the one that was saying that Rosa Parks did nothing for black people, wanting the discussion, was now crying about the discussion that he started. Now he was frightened, which is a common thing. People love to say racist stuff and then act like black people are just so mean, so scary, so aggressive, and they had nothing to do with the situation when they provoked the specific situation. But yeah, so he was crying and the teacher had to personally escort him to the 3rd floor, I guess, because boo-hoo. So yeah, we headed to lunch. Me, Ebony, the girl that walked out with me, Nikki, the girl that originally hopped in, and this one other guy all went to the 3rd floor with him. We're like, no, we're getting our say in the story too. So we all 3 went to the 3rd floor. We didn't even stop to get food. We didn't stop to eat lunch. We booked it straight to the 3rd floor, hit the elevator, and we were up there. Oh, all of us are on the 3rd floor. We had to fill out our little statements about whatever happened and everything. And they gave us the statements. First of all, the lady at the 3rd floor was giving us a hard time. She already knew the situation because my teacher had walked the other kid up and explained. But when we told her while we were up there, she said we had to fill out a statement or whatever. So all 4 of us refused to write anything on the statement except for there's racism at this school with a period. That's all we wrote. There's racism at this school 4 times. So yeah, we filled those out. And then when we finally got into the office to talk to the dean of the school, which is like the principal if you don't know. We were basically just telling him like all the racist stuff that's going on at this school or whatever, and how it's not okay. Like Nikki told him that she had been called a cotton picker earlier in the year, which I didn't even know until then. I was telling him about how that kid Brad had called me the N-word, and like how all these kids are just saying racist stuff and getting away with it, and it's just unacceptable, and why is there nothing to be done about it or whatever. So the whole time we're telling him this, he was like nervous, and I don't know why he was so nervous. He took, maybe because it was like, I don't know why he was so nervous actually. He took us into like a room with like a big table. It's not even the usual dean's room, but so all four of us could sit down. And so we were all four just sitting there like telling him all the different stuff, like racist stuff that has happened to us and how there needs to be something done about it. And he was like fiddling so much, he was like, and he had like a paperclip in his hand, so he's just like, and when I say his face was bright red, y'all, it was like the part that made me laugh where I couldn't keep my composure because Nikki goes,
Why are you fiddling? Why are you fiddling? Are you scared? Why are you fiddling all around? Why are you fiddling?
it was so funny, y'all. I don't know why that bothered her so much, but she did not like him fiddling. She was like,
You feel good? Why are you fiddling?
but the part that bothered me when we were up there was the fact that he felt the need to tell us about how he's white and he has a hard life too. Like, that's not what this meeting was about. This meeting was about racism in the school, and then you took it upon yourself to let us know that we're not the only ones with hard lives. Like, we're talking about us right now though. Like, we were like, okay, but it's Black History Month. But then it kind of brought up the fact that there was nothing at this school to celebrate Black history. And we wanted to know why our school did nothing to even acknowledge Black History Month. We even had a project in our study skills class that we were all required to take, where it was called a Black History Month project. Yes, it was. This is what he brought up as an excuse to why we had nothing for Black History Month. The fact that we had our Black History Month project in study skills. But in this class, I asked my teacher if I can do a project on Malcolm X, and I was told no. Why I couldn't do a project on Malcolm X? Because it had to be an inventor. So I ended up doing my project on George Crumb, who, if you don't know, is the inventor of the potato chip. And like, it was cool and everything. Potato chips are delicious. That's dope that a Black person came up with that invention. But at the same time, I wanted to do my project on Malcolm X because he was one of the core people in the civil rights movement and, you know, one of the most historic, like, Black civil rights leaders. And I was told that I couldn't do my project on Malcolm X. So for him to bring up that as our Black History Month project, the teacher wouldn't even refer to it as a Black History Month project, number one. Like, it was our Black History Month STEM project. But whenever she would put it, like the assignment in Google Classroom, it was never called Black History Month project, but it was titled the STEM project. We told him, basically, aside from that STEM project, we've had nothing to acknowledge our history, and there should be something. And he gave us a whole bunch of weird excuses as to why we couldn't have a Black History Month rally. First of all, there was a whole ASB program at that school, and they set up stuff for a whole bunch of other unnecessary events, like a random Peter Pan dance and like just a whole bunch of random stuff. But when it came to something that actually should have been celebrated, we couldn't have anything for absolutely no reason. And I was like, no, there's no way we can't have a rally. Like, what do you mean? My parents told me I could do anything I put my mind to. And I was like, there has to be a way to make a rally. So we sat in there for about like an extra hour of class demanding that he finds out a way for there to be a rally. So he was like, he was down to do that, and he said that he would set it up with ASB. But Nikki goes, no, like, this was our idea. We want to be in the rally. And the dean was like, oh, you guys want to be in the rally. And then she was like, I want to be in the rally personally. And then she went to each of us individually.
He was like, do you want to be in the rally? Do you want to be in the rally? Do you want to be in the rally?
And And we were all like, yeah. And then she's like,
Okay, we're all in the rally. We all want to be in it. Sign us all up.
so he had us write our name down on a paper, reached out to like one of the other black students that's in ASB to tell her our idea or whatever, and then he wrote us passes for lunch because we hadn't eaten. So we all went to lunch like in the next class period. Okay, so I have to pause on the whole rally thing for a little bit because something else happened in between these two events which pertains to the story or whatever. Okay, so after the whole thing with the principal and the Rosa Parks thing, I decided like I'm not gonna let no more racist stuff slide. Like it's just not gonna happen. I was in history class one day and nothing in particular happened that I remember. I remember it was me and Nikki. We had became really close friends after that whole situation happened. And there was this teacher, Miss H, that we really liked. And she was our substitute, but whenever she came in, it was like super cool. We would talk to her like the whole class. So it was our history class, and she was subbing that day, and we started telling Miss H how we wanted to learn more Black history because we don't learn that in our school like at all. And so we're just having like a conversation about it. It was no drama, nothing. We were just like saying we wish we would have the opportunity to learn Black history, learn our history. So that class ends or whatever, and next period, nobody else was in that class with me, was circus arts class. However, there was this one girl, I'm gonna call her Jane. There's this one girl, Jane, and Jane calls me over in the middle of circus arts class, like, and she was my friend too. So she calls me over in the middle of circus arts class, and I think she's gonna tell me a story or something. So I'm like, oh, hey girl, what's going on? And she tells me, why do you and Nikki care so much about if we learn Black history? I was like, what? Like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah, why do you guys care so much? And I was like, because I want to learn my history. Like, why shouldn't we care? Why do you have a problem with us wanting to learn our history? And she was like,
You know, if somebody says something racist to you, you should just brush it off.
And this is a Mexican girl, and she tells me,
You should just brush it off because Mexicans get racism too.
which I never said they didn't, by the way. She's like,
Mexicans get racism too, and we don't study Mexican history either.
number one, first and foremost, I'm not Mexican, so I'm not the one that's gonna speak up about racism towards Mexicans because I don't experience that because I'm not Mexican. Like, all types of racism are awful, but I'm a Black girl, so I'm going to speak up on what I personally experience. You have every right to speak up on what you personally experience, and we could touch on that too. Okay, so as far as what she said about not learning Mexican history, I'm kind of concerned for her grade in our history class because we were learning about the Mayan civilization, which is a civilization that was in, like, it was in southeastern Mexico. So, I mean, I'm no history fanatic or anything, but I think that there has to be a little Mexican history in there somewhere. You know what I mean? If she's okay with letting people, like, not learning her history, if she's okay with letting people say racist stuff to her, that's up to her. But for her to tell me that I should sit back and brush it off and just not speak up and let stuff slide because she does the same thing and she gets racism too, is just not okay to me. So I'm getting called out of my classes 2 days in a row to the office to, you know, explain the altercation between me and her. And that she started, by the way, if you haven't caught on. I end up getting, like, upset again because I'm tired of being painted into this angry Black girl. And then I was sent to the counselor's office from the dean. And when I went to the counselor, she asked me, why,
Does this always make you so angry? Why does racism make you so angry? Why can't you just ignore it?
A counselor, y'all. A counselor. You're supposed to be able to go to your counselor and actually talk to them and actually feel like your feelings are validated. But I was asked why I can't just dust it off. Once again, basically exactly what that little girl told me. My counselor told me the same thing. So that happens, and they were still handling the situation, so it was on hold for a while. Like, nothing really happened for a couple days after the counselor asked me why I can't just dust off racism. I kind of just went to school regularly, and then we got back to planning the rally. Okay, so I missed the whole first couple meetings about the rally because of that whole other situation that went down. So I finally got to go to the meeting for the rally around like the third meeting, and we were basically planning everything. Basically, there's supposed to be like a hip hop routine. Me and Nikki both danced, so we figured like one of the black hip hop teachers could make a routine for us. I was supposed to do a poem. One of my friends had heard my poetry. She said it was good. She thought I should write a poem. Like, we had all types of different stuff planned. We had all types of like playlists planned out that we wanted to happen at the rally or whatever. So the rally was planned. We were all excited. You know, we were finally doing something relating to Black History Month. I went home, wrote the poem. Everyone was getting everything ready. I ended up asking my mom if we could print out posters for the rally, which we did do, and so we taped all the posters up. Now, we're being told that ASB has this rally under control with our ideas. While I'm taping the rallies on the wall at lunch, while me and Nikki are taping the rallies on the wall? While me and Nikki were taping the posters on the wall at lunch, 3 girls that are all in ASB walked by and said,
We're having a Black History Month rally?
okay, so some members of ASB knew about the rally, others didn't, but when people started finding out like about the rally, I heard like one girl make a smart remark talking about
Oh, well, I'm not African. We're not African.
like they were mad because there were African colors in the poster. First of all, I was super heated. We spent like $40 on those posters. For us to spend all that money and for me to wake up early just to go print out those posters for you to be like, what rally? And then once you find out, be like, we're not African, was super, super duper irritating. So I ended up getting called to the office again for the whole thing. And I think forgot to mention this in the first part, but when the whole altercation was going down and she was like, oh, like just brush it off. If someone says something racist to you, brush it off. I was like, okay, well,
When you catch these hands, brush that off. Then when you catch my fist, brush that off.
so basically, they told me that I was gonna get in trouble because I can't threaten people or whatever because that's an offense in the rule book. I guess they told me I might get suspended at that time. The day ended after they told me I might get suspended, and then Nikki came up to me and she was like, they told me that you have to change your poem. And I was like, what do they mean I have to change my poem? Like, there was nothing wrong with my poem. What are they talking about? He said, he said you could go talk to him after school. So I went to go talk to the teacher that was leading the whole ASB thing. And I was like, why do I have to change my poem? My poem was about how, why Black people take a knee and about systemic racism and police brutality. And what he told me is that I couldn't use my poem, or that I could use my poem, but I couldn't use the trigger words, which were like killed, murdered. What did he tell me? Like he just told me I couldn't use basically all the words that were like key words in my poem. And I was like, so basically I just have to rewrite the whole poem. And he was like, no, but you can use metaphors. And I was like, okay, dude. So I went home, I rewrote a whole new poem. I started completely from scratch. I sent it to the teacher of the ASB and he said it was good to go. So the rally's in a couple of days at this point, and I was all like super hyped. Like, we're about to get to have a Black History Month rally for the first time in the whole entire school. we get called into yet another ASB meeting. And when we went up there, we were told that we wouldn't get to present our own work at the rally because we're not members of ASB, and it wouldn't be fair to ASB if we got the opportunity to speak the poems that we wrote.
What are you talking about, man?
None of the members of ASB brought up having a Black History Month rally. ASB didn't put a lick of thought into this. They stole our ideas and then told us that we were not allowed to present them because it wouldn't be fair if they let us speak on the stage with a microphone because we're not part of ASB, and ASB puts in a lot of work. At first, I was thinking about just telling them don't use my poem then, but I wanted to contribute to this Black History Month rally. I had made a huge deal out of, you know, Black Power, so I was like, might as well participate in the rally. I've been talking about this for the whole month. The day of the rally rolls around, and I'm like,
Yes, Jordan, you got it out. You didn't get suspended. You survived.
so we're all hype. We're waiting till lunchtime because that's when the rally was gonna take place. So they called us out before lunch, but they called us out kind of late, I guess. So we didn't have time to really go over anything that we were supposed to go over. But they said ASB had it under control. Everyone started showing up to the rally or whatever. It started off by a speech that Nikki made. Our hip-hop teacher at the time did like a spoken word, and the hip-hop class that Nikki was in like performed a little like dance behind him. There was this one Black girl, she was a super dope dancer. She did like this hip-hop solo. And then my poem rolled around, y'all. My poem rolled around, and I don't know what happened, but it was very poorly executed. First of all, when she announced my name, she didn't say my last name right. So I don't even remember what she said, but she didn't say my last name right at all. Half the words in the poem, like, she didn't just stumble over them, like, she tripped and face planted over them. Like, she did not execute that poem right. I was like, people are gonna think I can't write a poem or something. Like, what? They should have just let me read my own poem because I would have been way more capable of this. I know what I wrote. After she read my poem, like, I feel like she knew, like, deep down, she knew she messed up because she sat in front of me at the table and she kept looking back, but she never said anything. She kept just looking to see if I was looking at her or whatever. So my poem was a disaster, and then after my poem, like, after she performed that, it kind of went downhill because they had like random members of the choir just singing random songs, like these random white girls singing like Michael Jackson songs or something. Not even Michael Jackson though, like I think someone sung a song by the Beatles. It was just weird. But yeah, that happened and everyone kind of clapped and then the rally was over. Okay, so I ended up getting called into the office once again about the whole Jane situation. And I was so tired of being called out of my class to talk about this. Like, it was all done. It was over with. You know, she was fine. I didn't do anything to her. I didn't touch her. She knew I wasn't going to touch her. She didn't think I was going to do anything to her. We were friends. She could not have been that frightened. We had been friends the whole year leading up to it. So he calls me up there once again, and I ended up getting really upset. Somewhere in there, you know, I called him white privileged. Oops. And, you know, he calls my mom all frantically, because he has struggles in life too. Like, I have a whole white side of my family, y'all. Like, I'm not, you know, against white people, but at the same time, there is white privilege, and if that's hard, if that's hard to recognize or a hard pill to swallow, sorry for ya, it exists. Also, I find it kind of funny how him being called white privileged was like the, you know, end all be all. It was like, wow, but people are allowed to throw around the N-word and I'm supposed to just brush it off and not get so angry and ignore it. He ended up calling my mom, and my mom is tired of hearing about this. I'm tired of hearing about this. Like, I just want the whole situation to be over because it's been like weeks and this Jane girl is fine and I'm fine and we haven't even spoken and everybody's fine. I don't remember exactly what my mom said. I obviously wasn't even on the phone call, but basically she was telling him, like, at the same time, there shouldn't be able to be all this racism happening at your school and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so he tells my mom that he's gonna make a decision about what's gonna happen, and I guess it's all up in the air whether or not I'm gonna get suspended. I don't know why it was a secret, but it was. So we didn't find out until the next day when he called me to the office and he said I had on-campus suspension. This is the part that got me. He didn't tell me himself that I had an on-campus suspension. This school, mind you, was a performing arts school, so we had sister campuses. So there was one in Riverside, one in Hesperia. So he brought a black dean, the one from the Hesperia campus, who just happens to be black, to suspend me because I guess he has white privilege and he can't tell me that I'm suspended.
Such audacity.
The audacity that you have to go to that extent about something is just beyond me, y'all.
He brought a black dean to tell me that I was suspended.
Okay, so would I love to say that after the Black History Month rally, there was no more racism and everyone was educated and enlightened and felt no urge to say racist things? Yes. Was that the case? Unfortunately not. So there was this one guy. We're gonna name this guy Xavier. So, like I mentioned, like really earlier on in this story, I switched up my hair a lot. Xavier was obsessed, passionately invested in why I switched up my hair a lot. Every time he would say something about me switching my hair, he would always be like asking me, like, is your hair real? Or he would always be obsessed with telling me that I'm wearing extensions, which I'm completely aware of. I'm not trying to fool anybody, y'all. Like, if I have a different hairstyle every week, it's not like like I'm not skipping around expecting y'all to think that I'm not wearing extensions. I didn't really think it was a big secret that I was wearing extensions. It's not a crime. It's literally, yep.
Extensions, they're extensions, if you didn't know.
So he had a problem with this, and he would always, because this kid would antagonize people, but whenever he would antagonize me and I would say something to him, he would tell me, well, at least I'm not bald.
At least I'm not bald. At least I'm not bald. At least I have hair.
If you guys didn't know, this is one of the most offensive things that you can say to a black girl. Black women have always been told in society that, you know, their hair is not the beauty standards and that, like, you know, it's not good enough if you're wearing your natural hair, it's ugly, but if you're wearing extensions, that means you don't have hair. Like, it's always some standard that we can't reach to because we're black. And so I take like 100% offense to that. If you didn't know, I take 100% offense to being called bald.
Obviously.
Because I'm not bald. I like to do protective styles on my hair. It's literally how black girls keep their hair from breaking off because we have a different type of hair. And if I like to experiment with those styles, let me be. But the part of this that got me was something that I found out way after this entire situation. I found this out way later from this guy that I used to talk to, who informed me that even the black guys at that school, including himself, had a nickname for me because I would switch up my hairstyles. And this nickname was the Weekly Weaver. I hate nothing more than people that discriminate against their own race. if you're a black guy and you have some problem with black girls and the culture of black girls and like their hairstyles, like
What? Disgusting. Disgusting. You're awful. You're disgusting.
disgusting. That's the most unattractive thing ever. Barf. Like, ew, dude. Ew. The fact that you want to bash your own race and their hairstyles when your mom is wearing those hairstyles. Your mom, she has a weave too. Your grandmama, she has a weave too. Your great grandma was wearing a weave. And your little sister is at home right now crying because she's getting her hair braided. Your whole family's wearing weaves. So the fact that you think you're so invested in the fact that your black classmate has braids in her hair or any type of protective hairstyle is very, 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 very odd. And if you're watching this, you are very odd and I never will like you again. I'm sorry, y'all. I just got so mad. I just got really mad because, like, I really mean what I'm saying. Like, I'm very passionate about the fact that if you're a black male and you're bashing black women for wearing protective styles in their hair, you are very disgusting. You're the worst type of person ever to live. Like, to me, that is even worse than a white male doing that. You know, who doesn't understand as much, I guess I could say, doesn't understand. Like, you can accept that more, even though it's still not very acceptable because it's more ignorance than you just knowing and then being blatantly disrespectful and blatantly discriminating against your own race. That is just so gross, and I don't know any other word to describe it than yucky. Like, it is yucky, dude. Stop doing this. Please stop doing this. And something else about this guy is that he was into black girls, or he would act as if he was into black girls, but then he would say racist things. So, my best friend at the time, Tara, she was talking to him or whatever. But, like, she was talking to him and they had a little crush on each other. And then, randomly, out of the blue, he called her a cotton picker and a slave. Even if you weren't talking to her ever, why would that ever cross your mind to say that? Like, what made you say that? She ended up telling her parents what happened. I even told my parents what he told her. I told my parents pretty much everything that happened, like, in every racist incident that happened at that school since the first day. So they were, you know, informed. They were filled in. And I was really fed up with him. He called me bald, like, on multiple more occasions. I remember this one specific day. I was with this guy, Amari. We were talking before class, and this Xavier guy comes up to me and was like,
I'm not bald.
Like, congratulations. And I just remember that day, like, being, like, shaking because I was so mad. Like, I didn't say anything, but I was shaking and I was so mad. Like, I was thinking what would happen if I fought him right now. Like, what are the consequences to me punching this white guy in the face right now? And another thing is that not only did he like black girls, I feel like he wanted the black culture. He wanted to inherit the black culture. He would perm his hair, try to give himself curly hair and, like, all types of stuff. But then you have a problem with black people being black. Weird. But then we were waiting for class one day. So there was this group of guys that I would always talk to before that class started. And so I was talking to them or whatever. These are also the guys who called me the weekly weaver that I didn't know about at the time. I thought they were my friends, at least. But yeah, I was talking to them before this class, and Xavier came up to me and started talking about how my shoes were fake, I guess. My shoes were also, like, a big part of my whole, like, persona, I guess, at that school, because people would always say I had shoe game. I have a lot of Jordans, and so that was kind of something that I guess he was jealous of, and he would always just come up to me and tell me my shoes were fake. And I was like,
what are you talking about, my shoes are fake. Like, how are my shoes fake?
The guys that were standing with me were telling him, what do you mean, like, how are those fake? And he had no explanation. He was just sitting there with this goofy grin on his face, like, it looked something like this. just waiting till he's bothered all of us enough. And then after he couldn't prove that my shoes were fake, he goes on to say that I'm bald because I wear extensions. I'm bald. I was through because after talking to my friend, trying to get at my friend, he's tried to date pretty much every black guy at this he's tried to date pretty much every black girl at the school, including myself, like, and now I'm bald. And you're perming your hair, you want the black culture so bad, but you have a problem with extensions. So I'm going in on this kid now. I'm like,
you know, what are you talking about? Like, you want to call me bald, but my extensions were a problem when you loved me and all this stuff. And I was like, you want to call my friend a con picker, but you were trying to take her to formal. Like, you sound dumb.
In on this kid, and everyone's backing me up like, yeah, Jordan, yeah. Tell him. So the teacher to this class opens the door of the classroom, and she has no idea what's going on. My best friend Tara is going back and forth with this kid, and I went to the teacher because he sat next to me in this class. He sat in front of me, directly in front of me, and I told her, I said, please keep him away from me because I don't want him around me, and if he's around me, I'm going to get angry, and when I get angry, I don't know, but it's not going to be good, so please keep him on the other complete opposite side of the room as me. Now, she's asking she's trying to figure out what's going on, and I'm like, keep him away from me. I guess she just can't comprehend what's going on, so she calls the campus aide. As she's calling the campus aide into the classroom, this other kid who's sitting at his desk, I don't remember this kid's name at all, really. I'm gonna call him A. So, A takes it upon himself to make this comment saying,
why do you guys always disrupt class where I'm trying to learn?
He told me,
you always cause a scene in class and I'm trying to learn.
Well, I'm sorry that all the racist stuff's happening to me in class. I'm trying to learn as well, and I wish this wasn't preventing either of us from learning. So tell your white friends to please stop saying racist remarks to me. Please and thank you, and then we can all learn peacefully.
so now everybody's going back and forth with each other until the campus aide gets there. The campus aide called me, Tara, Xavier, and the kid who's trying to learn out of the classroom. I feel like the kid who was trying to learn just wanted to be called to the third floor or something because he really inserted himself into something that had nothing to do with him. So we're all going to the third floor, and I remember all the black guys like texting me to see what was going on, like on my way there. They were trying to go up to the third floor because they were like, we were involved, like, let us go. We were the ones that were actually there, not this trying to learn kid. But the teacher didn't let them go. So they ended up like texting me on Instagram. And on the way up to the third floor, I called my mom because I know and I love both. I know and I love how they always try to switch the narrative to make it seem like I just randomly got up in the middle of my class and started screaming. So I called my mom immediately and I said, this kid that I've been telling you about since, you know, he's been harassing me and my friend, this kid that I've been telling you about, started this big thing. He was calling me bald, whatever. And then my friend is standing next to me on the phone with her mom, telling her mom what's going on.
I'm like, yeah, the kid that called me a cotton picker. Yep, that one.
My mom is like, what's wrong with this kid? Like, what's his problem? And I was like,
I don't know, maybe he's mad because he's ugly.
The black security guard that was escorting me was also the one that asked me if I like having all that hair on my head. And she was like, that's not right. And I was like, what do you mean? We're going to the third floor because he called me bald. That's not right. So he can call me bald. I can call him ugly. 2 insults, awesome. 1 insult, bad. Never let anybody walk over you. I was always taught to stand up for myself, so that's what I did. And then she told me that that's super messed up and I shouldn't have told him that he was ugly to my mom. And I should have brushed off being called bald. This is her idea. I should have brushed off being called bald because I knew it wasn't true. And I should have never fixed my mouth to say that he was ugly because I know that my baldness is not true. Same rules apply. Flip the script. So we get to the 3rd floor and we're all filling out statements. None of us are allowed to sit next to each other or whatever. He turns to me while we're filling out our statements and is like,
I'm sorry, Jordan. I'm sorry for calling you bald.
That apology expired. Like, not trying to hear it. Really despise this kid. Every bone in my body is disgusted of this kid. Like, I don't want your sorry at all. He said he was sorry and I just kind of like didn't, like, I just looked at him and sat there in silence. I was like, I finished filling out my statement. Into the 3rd floor that was trying to learn.
I meant the first guy that talked to the dean,
and
y'all.
then he came back out and he sat next to me as Xavier went into the office. And he told me,
Jordan, the best advice that I could give you is to stay calm because it'll keep you out of trouble if you just stay calm and try to explain what happened.
I carry that advice with me till this day because that kid really did me some good with that advice. Okay, I will say I kind of understand what this kid was trying to say because my parents have given me, you know, similar advice to this prior to the situation. And, you know, because you can't always let people provoke you in the way they want to because they'll get the reactions that they want out of you and be able to paint that angry black girl narrative. They'll poke at you and then they'll play the victim. So I get where he was going with this, but at the same time, like, I don't need this random kid's advice. He has no idea what it's like to be black. He has no idea what it's like to, you know, have being called bald. He has no idea what it's like to be a black woman at this racist school. So I don't really, like, stay calm, yeah, but to a certain extent. My parents have told me, like, stay calm, but you're not just gonna let nobody walk all over you. Like, you have to, at some point, stand up for yourself in situations like this one. So that's what I did. After being called bald about 130 times, I got fed up, and now, no, I am no longer calm. Okay, so my mom is already aware of the situation. However, the teacher emailed my mom to tell her how I was very disruptive and very awful during her class, which, you know, we're used to this by now. So my mom is fed up with this racist school, y'all. And I bet the teacher wasn't expecting what she replied with. So she sent this long essay back to my teacher. I'm gonna read it to y'all. She said, "Hi, I appreciate the message and understand there are class rules that your students must follow. I do, however, want to speak to you about the racist climate at Encore. The entire time my daughter has been at this school, white children have been allowed to get away with hateful racist remarks against black students with no repercussions. Jordan has come home to tell me about this particular student, Xavier, on multiple different occasions. I find it disgusting and disturbing that this student would feel that he has the right to say horrible things to young black girls. I personally would not have handled this situation as well as my daughter did, if I'm being completely honest. I have taught my child to never tolerate bullying or harassment of any kind toward herself or anyone else. I've taught my child that her black is beautiful and that she should be proud of who she is and never accept any type of discrimination from anyone. In my humble opinion, the most productive thing that could happen is that Xavier being held to a higher standard and not being allowed to say these types of things in the first place, because these types of issues are very sensitive for children of color and they provoke responses like the one that you saw in your classroom yesterday. As an adult, I find it hard not to have that type of response to hateful racist behavior. So for our children with less impulse control, I would imagine it even more difficult. This student has on multiple occasions told my daughter that at least he is not bald and he doesn't have to wear a weave, which I'm not sure if you understand what a racist statement that is, but in Black culture, girls and women's hair is something we have constantly been told is not the standard of beauty and that we are less beautiful because of it. This student has also told other young Black girls that Jordan is friends with to go pick cotton and that they are slaves. I am not sure on what planet this disgusting hate speech is not addressed and harsh consequences are not put in place, but if Jordan and her friends continue to be harassed, then I will have to take further action. I will not tell my child to sit quietly while someone harasses and bullies her. I have, however, spoken to her about other ways in which she might approach situations such as this in the future that may be more productive than disrupting the classroom. I really hope that the situation of racism in your classroom is addressed and taken very seriously, as this is a very serious matter. Thank you for your time. Period to my mom. Period. She had my back and all that. You know, we're not about to let these white kids get away with being racist to me. Like, we're not having that. Period to my mom.
Mommy, if you're watching this.
Basically, the next day I went to that class and come to find out that kid, the one that was trying to learn, he transferred out of the school. I'm not really sure where he went. I don't know, somewhere where he could learn, apparently. Hopefully there's no Black girls experiencing racism at his school that want to stand up to it because it might disrupt his learning. Basically, my mom had sent that email that she sent to my teacher, not only to my teacher, but also she spoke on the phone with my principal, and she spoke to my principal about a bunch of racist incidents that have happened, about the campus aid, and just like a bunch of other stuff. At that point, I feel like they got kind of like a little scared, a little worried. So they got more lenient, like not lenient, they got more like, they left me alone, y'all. They left me alone. That's literally all we wanted. They stopped harassing me and I was happy for it. I was very, very happy for it. Alright, y'all, so I'm sorry this video was so long, but that was my experience of having Black History Month at my racist school. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you want to see me do more story times. I kind of had fun like filming this video. I've never done a story time before. Also, comment down below if you want to hear about more racist experiences, because I have encountered a lot of racism in my very short 14 years of life, surprisingly. There's a lot more racist experiences. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you can see it every single time I post. You know, I'm on my journey to greatness, have a lot more great videos coming for you guys. If you haven't already joined my giveaway, make sure to join. I'm going to put all the information to that in the description down below. And yeah, come back to be great with me again tomorrow. Until next time, Jordan Bliss.